You know, it's kind of wild to think that an entire worldview, a whole map for how to live, could be hidden inside just one single word. Well, today we're going to do just that. We're going on a journey to follow one ancient word and unpack the incredible story it tells about life, choice, and our ultimate purpose.
And I know that sounds like a huge claim, right? But this word we're going to look at, it really is all of those things. It's a physical road, it's a way to measure time, it's a moral compass, and it's even a divine standard. So let's start at the very beginning of its journey.
You know the saying, every great journey begins with a single step? Well, for our word, that's literally true. Its story begins right there on the ground as a physical path, an actual road made by people walking on it over and over.
So here it is. The word is derek. It comes from this Hebrew root, derak, which just means to tread or to walk. Simple enough, right? At its most basic, a derek is the thing that gets created when you walk. It's a path, a road, a way. But this is just our starting point.
And listen, this is not some obscure word tucked away in a corner of the text. It shows up around 700 times in the Old Testament. Now, when a word appears that often, that's a massive clue. It's telling us that this idea of a path or a way is absolutely critical to the whole story.
So where do we first bump into this word? Well, its first appearance could not be more literal. Right after Adam and Eve are exiled from the Garden of Eden, an angel is sent to guard the derek, the actual physical path that leads back to the tree of life. It's a real road to a real place.
And we're not just talking about mythical paths. Derek was the word they used for the major highways of the ancient world. These were real-life, bustling trade routes and military roads like the King's Highway or the Way of the Sea. A derrick was a real, tangible, and super important part of everyday life.
But here's where things start to get interesting. A path isn't just a static line on a map, right? It's something you travel on. And this is where the meaning of derrick begins to change, to evolve, moving from just a thing to something much more dynamic.
This is the key shift. The word starts to soak up the action that happens on it. So derrick stops being just the road itself and starts becoming the journey you take along that road. The focus shifts from the place to the actual experience of traveling.
And check this out. This verse from Genesis illustrates the change perfectly. Laban puts a 3-day derrick between himself and Jacob. You see? The word isn't describing a specific road name anymore. It's being used as a unit of measurement. It now means the time and the distance of the trip itself.
So a derrick now represents effort, it represents distance, it represents time. It's not just a thing on a map anymore. It's an experience, something you have to undertake. The whole concept is getting more personal, which is setting the stage for its biggest transformation yet. Okay, this next step is the big one. This is where the word derrick takes this huge, profound leap from the physical world outside of us to the metaphorical world inside of us. The path literally moves from the ground beneath our feet to the very life we lead.
The logic here is just beautiful, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Just like you walk on a physical path every day, you also walk a certain way through life. Your habits, your choices, your moral character, all of that together becomes your personal derrick, your way of life.
And here in the story of Noah's flood, we see this new meaning with some serious dramatic force. The whole reason for the flood is that humanity had corrupted its derrick. This isn't about a road needing repairs. It's about a broken way of living, a moral rot that is spread across the entire earth.
So this idea of a moral derrick boils down to a fundamental choice, and the Psalms lay it out perfectly. There are two paths you can walk. There's the derrick of the righteous, which God watches over, and then there's the derrick of the wicked, which leads to ruin. The path you choose has ultimate consequences.
Then the book of Proverbs comes along and turns this idea into a really sharp warning. It basically forces you to ask yourself, is the path I'm on really the right one? Because just because a derrick seems right, feels good, or is popular, that doesn't mean it is. You have to be discerning about the path you choose.
Okay, so we've gone from a dirt path to a journey to a moral choice, and now we've reached the very top of the mountain. We've arrived at the final, most transcendent meaning of derrick, the ultimate destination of the entire journey.
This is the peak. Derrick finally comes to mean the way of the Lord. This isn't just a good path or even a righteous person's path anymore. This is God's own path, the divine standard, the perfect blueprint for a life that leads to real flourishing and justice.
And this isn't some minor theme. It's absolutely foundational.
Right here, in the promise to Abraham, the whole point of his calling is so that his descendants will learn to keep the derrick of the Lord. This is the main mission, the central highway of the entire biblical story.
So what does it actually look like to walk on this divine derrick? Well, the Bible breaks it down into really concrete actions. It's about walking in obedience to his commands, observing his laws, actively loving and serving him, and, just like we saw with Abraham, working to do what is right and just in the world. It's a very practical, hands-on path.
Wow. Okay, so we've been on quite a journey with this one little word, haven't we? Let's just pause for a second, look back at the map we've uncovered, and think about what this all means for us.
Just look at this progression. It's amazing. It moves from something totally physical to something deeply abstract. It goes from the world outside of us to the world inside of us. And finally, it moves from the human level to the divine. From a literal road out of Eden, to measuring a trip, to a choice between good and evil, and finally, to the very character of God himself.
What we've really seen is that derrick isn't just a word. It's a whole worldview in miniature. It starts out as a simple dirt road, and step by step, it transforms into a spiritual compass for navigating literally everything in life. It's a map for the whole human experience.
And that, of course, leaves us with one final, unavoidable question. This ancient word has traveled thousands of years to ask each one of us something incredibly personal. Every single day, you walk a path. You are on a journey. You make choices. So when you really think about it, where is your derrick headed?